Every country on Earth, yes, even the richest ones, are drowning in debt. And not just a little debt. We're talking numbers so massive, they're almost impossible to comprehend. Take the United States, for example. Its national debt has skyrocketed to over $36 trillion. That's more than the combined economies of China, Japan, and Germany. And Japan? It owes more than twice the size of its entire economy. But here's the kicker. This isn't some rare phenomenon. Almost every country is in debt. So what's going on here? Why are governments borrowing so much money? Why can't they just print more cash and call it a day? And here's the real head-scratcher. If every country owes money, who are they borrowing from? Is there some secret global lender pulling the strings? Or is debt just a necessary evil in today's world? In this video, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of national debt. We'll uncover why countries borrow, who they owe, and whether being debt-free is even possible or desirable. Along the way, we'll bust some myths, reveal shocking truths, and answer the questions you didn't even know you had. If you're ready to uncover the secrets behind the numbers, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get started. Let's start with the basics. When we talk about a country's debt, we're referring to its national debt, also called public debt or sovereign debt. This is the total amount of money a central government owes. Think of it like this. Just as individuals take out loans to buy a house or start a business, governments borrow money when their expenses exceed their income. But here's where it gets interesting. Governments don't borrow from just one source. They have multiple lenders, including other countries, financial institutions, and even their own citizens. For example, when you buy a government bond, you're essentially lending money to your country in exchange for interest. It's also important to note that national debt only includes the central government's debt. It doesn't account for state or local government debt, like California's or Texas's debt in the US, nor does it include personal debt, like mortgages or student loans. So why do countries borrow in the first place? If they can print money, why not just create as much as they need? The answer lies in one word: inflation. If governments could print unlimited money without consequences, we'd all be millionaires, right? Wrong. Printing too much money leads to hyperinflation, where prices skyrocket and money becomes worthless. Just ask Venezuela or Zimbabwe, where people needed wheelbarrows of cash to buy a loaf of bread. Borrowing, on the other hand, keeps governments disciplined because debt comes with interest. It forces them to manage their finances responsibly, or at least try to. But what exactly are they borrowing for? Let's break it down. 1. To cover budget deficits. Governments primarily earn money through taxes, but sometimes it's not enough to cover their expenses. This shortfall is called a budget deficit. For instance, if a government collects $3 trillion in taxes but needs $4 trillion to fund public services, it's left with a $1 trillion gap. Cutting spending could mean fewer services, worse education, or underfunded healthcare, none of which are popular options. Raising taxes? That's equally unpopular. Borrowing becomes the easiest solution. 2. To invest in growth. Borrowing isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's about investing in the future. Imagine a country needing new roads, schools, or hospitals but lacking the funds. Instead of waiting years to save up, borrowing allows them to build now, improving lives and boosting the economy. These investments can lead to higher tax revenues in the future, making it easier to repay the debt. It's like taking out a loan to start a business. You spend money now to make more money later. 3. To handle crises. Emergencies like wars, natural disasters, or pandemics often force governments to borrow. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. borrowed $3.8 trillion for relief efforts. Without this, the economic fallout could have been catastrophic. 4. To refinance existing debt. Here's a little-known fact. Governments often take new loans to pay off old ones. This is called refinancing. As long as the debt is managed responsibly, this cycle can continue indefinitely. But if it spirals out of control, it can lead to defaults like what happened in Sri Lanka in 2022. 5. To control inflation and interest rates. Borrowing can also be a tool to stabilize the economy. By issuing bonds, governments can influence inflation and interest rates. For instance, issuing bonds can pull money out of circulation to reduce inflation, while borrowing more can inject money into the economy to stimulate growth. Now here's a question that might have crossed your mind. Who has trillions of dollars to lend to governments? The answer lies in three main sources: domestic lenders, foreign lenders, and central banks. 1. Domestic lenders. Citizens and institutions within a country can lend money to their government by purchasing bonds. For example, when you buy a U.S. Treasury bond, you're lending money to the U.S. government in exchange for interest. Banks, mutual funds, and even government agencies like Social Security also invest in bonds. This is why you often hear that a large portion of a country's debt is owed to itself. In the U.S., for instance, about 70% of the national debt is held domestically. Number 2. Foreign lenders. Foreign citizens, banks, and governments can also buy bonds. For instance, Japan and China are among the largest holders of U.S. Treasury bonds. But here's the catch. Weaker economies often struggle to attract foreign lenders. Investors fear they might default, so they demand higher interest rates or avoid lending altogether. In such cases, countries turn to organizations like the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for loans. These institutions often impose strict conditions, like cutting public spending, which can lead to protests and political instability. Number 3. Central banks. Governments can also borrow from their own central banks, a process called debt monetization. While this involves printing new money, it's rarely done today due to the risk of hyperinflation. Instead, central banks often buy government bonds indirectly to control inflation and interest rates. Here's where things get nuanced. Debt isn't inherently bad. It all depends on how it's used and managed. Borrowing to invest in infrastructure or handle crises can stabilize and grow an economy. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, borrowing helped many countries avoid economic collapse. But excessive debt can be dangerous. If a country borrows just to repay old debt, it risks falling into a debt trap. Over time, more money goes toward paying interest than funding essential services like healthcare or education. When investors lose confidence in a country's ability to repay its debt, its credit rating drops. This makes borrowing more expensive and can lead to a debt crisis or even default, as seen in Sri Lanka. A common way to measure whether a country's debt is manageable is the debt-to-GDP ratio, which compares total debt to the size of the economy. While there's no magic number, many economists consider a ratio below 60% to be safe. Technically, yes, but in reality, almost no country is completely debt-free. And for most economies, being debt-free isn't even desirable. Take Macau, for example. It's one of the few places with zero debt, but it's not a country. It's a small administrative region of China. Macau's unique economy, fueled by its booming casino industry, allows it to avoid debt. For larger nations, eliminating debt would require massive spending cuts or tax hikes, both of which could slow economic growth and spark protests. Additionally, government bonds play a crucial role in financial markets, providing a low-risk investment option for pensions and other funds. Without bonds, financial markets would become more volatile and retirements less secure. Debt is a double-edged sword. When used wisely, it can be a powerful tool for growth, stability, and progress. It allows governments to invest in infrastructure, respond to crises, and stimulate economic growth. But when mismanaged, debt can spiral out of control, leading to economic instability, higher taxes, and cuts to essential services. The truth is, debt isn't inherently good or bad. It's all about how it's managed. A country with high debt but a strong, growing economy can thrive, while a country with low debt but poor financial management can still struggle. The key lies in balance. Borrowing enough to invest in the future without overburdening the present. And here's the thing. Being debt-free isn't always the goal. Debt plays a crucial role in the global economy, providing low-risk investment opportunities and helping governments fund essential services. Without it, financial markets would be less stable and economic growth would slow. So the next time you hear someone say, "Why does our country have so much debt?" you'll know the answer. Debt isn't just a burden, it's a tool. The real question isn't why countries have debt, but how they're using it. If you're curious about why some countries handle high debt just fine, while others collapse under the weight, let us know in the comments. Maybe that's a topic for another day. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who loves learning about the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.